Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliarno.
Hi, you're listening to FantasyFootballTips.co, the podcast in association with Premier Punt. It's game week 24. My name is Mills, and I'm joined on a Skype special Sunday podcast this week by JP and Quigliarno. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I mean, this is beyond the Call of Duty, isn't it? It's this sort of time on a Sunday night. I mean, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty, good idea. I'd much rather be doing that right now. But Mills is on the phone, isn't he? We need you. The fans need you.
Yeah, I mean, I put it out there
spare
on
10 minutes.
Absolutely. I mean, the fans, they demand it, don't they? So we're here. This FA Cup, it's back again, and it kind of ruins our schedule a little bit, doesn't it? And I know the fans want that Tuesday podcast, but we're here on a Sunday, and I hear there's a bit of illness in the camp as well.
JP?
Yeah, unfortunately under the weather at the moment, but there are things that are more important than illness, and the podcast is one of those things. So we fight through.
What sort of symptoms are we dealing with, JP?
Really bad head.
I mean, the innuendo straight away is in there.
A really bad headache, cough, dizziness, and I think a temperature, I think fever.
Has Mommy put the thermometer in your mouth just to check that you're okay for this podcast?
Well, she's put it somewhere, but not in the mouth. And I can confirm that the temperature is up.
I dread to think what goes on in that house, but
I absolutely dread.
Mills, get some
talking about
control of
I
it.
don't know what you're on about, but
Yeah. Unconventional, okay. But sure.
Well, let's start proceedings. Let's kind of get some normality back to it. Game week 23. It was a funny old game week. It seems like so long ago now to be discussing it, but obviously it kicked off with that massive game at Norwich. Liverpool beating them 5-4. I mean, just incredible scenes there. Leicester back on form, 3-0 win against Stoke. Man City, Aguero again back in with a brace for against West Ham. So, kind of thoughts there, gents, on that action.
Well, Firmino was again. We were tipping most of these players. Firmino popped up. Probably would have justified the minus points hits if you'd have had the stomach. I didn't. One thing you've not mentioned there is another Lukaku blank, and I think he's dropped in price this week, and he's kind of. Is he worth keeping nowadays?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a big question, isn't it? Especially when you've got players like Ighalo, who scored again and got an assist again, in that game, and with good fixtures coming up. Again, Harry Kane playing well, scoring, assisting. So, yeah, and obviously we're kind of saying Aguero needs to be in the team. So, potentially that's your three strikers.
Lukaku. JP, thoughts on that mention of Ighalo?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I did take him out my team this weekend.
Oh, God, whoops. Sorry. Sorry to drop you in it there, mate.
No worries. I did take him out. Unfortunate. Frustrated. I did take him out for Kane, mind you, so not too bad, but nevertheless, less points scored there. I will mention the fact that Watford's next fixtures are actually quite difficult, in my opinion. They've got Chelsea, they've got Spurs, and they've got Crystal Palace away. I don't think it's that easy a run. But that being said, I think of the two players, Ighalo is more threatening than Lukaku.
Is that threatening with an F then, not threatening?
It must be the microphone. I did say threatening, definitely.
Okay, and then kind of going back to another striker, Jamie Vardy. Just while we're kind of discussing this, Leicester, yes, they got back to form, but they're coming up with a tough run themselves. I think they've got Arsenal. Who else? They got the Liverpool this week. Who else have they got? I'm just.
They have
it's all over the place.
City.
Man City. Yeah, so a tough run, and then they go to Arsenal. They go to the Emirates. So 3 tough games coming up for them.
Yeah, I mean, he's an option. He's definitely an option, but like we're probably going to talk about strikers that, for me, would be better options, especially given those fixtures you've just mentioned. I could maybe see people justifying holding Mahrez, but I know I've not backed Leicester all season, so you're speaking to the wrong man on that one.
Okay, so probably not going to start now. Okay, so again, just touching on the Arsenal game, losing to Chelsea, despite an excellent performance, I thought, from Arsenal. Obviously, affected by the red card for Mertesacker. I mean, he's a calamity, isn't he, Mertesacker? Is he too slow to be in that defence?
JP?
I will go first. Yes, I think so, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, he's got many attributes that are good. He's in the air, he's very good. He's a good tackler. They certainly need someone better to accompany Koscielny.
He's at Man City, mate, company, but
yeah, no, as soon as I said that, I knew you'd think of that one. To accompany Koscielny. So yes, I think they need someone better personally.
Well, I mean, that opens the door for Gabriel and possibly a nice little cheap option there, but possibly a side tip later.
Okay, so talking of side tips, I think it's probably time we started actually giving some tips for game week 24. That obviously is a midweek game this week, starts on Tuesday, so make sure you don't miss that deadline. Where are we looking for the Gary of the week, Quigliano? Is it possible that you're going to come out with a hat-trick here? You're going to have a third Gary with Aguero?
I didn't realise there was a glitch in the mainframe. I will be tipping. These are both the Gary and the long shot. You're going to enjoy both of these. So the Gary is Aguero. Okay, it's Man City. He's looking like the legend that he is. The missing Suarez, really, who left us, the other guarantee performer. So yeah, Aguero, you've got to put all your eggs into that Aguero basket. He's the Gary. Now the long shot is somebody who is also kind of your guarantee performer, and that is Alexis Sanchez returning.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
it's price has already gone up for those people that have been sitting on their hands and not transferring him in. He's definitely an option. I mean, they're playing at home. He's a quality player, and with the loss of KDB, I see that as a common transfer for most managers.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he scored at the weekend as well, didn't he? The FA Cup, scored against Burnley. Sanchez did. The problem with transferring Sanchez in replace of KDB is the price, I think, for some people. If you got on KDB at a fairly low price, you might struggle to afford Sanchez, but it's certainly a great swap in, I think.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry, JP. You're going to pat me on the back. Carry on.
No, yes, absolutely. No, he's a fantastic player. I mean, when he came on against Chelsea, he'd been out so long, yet he looked probably the most dangerous player on the pitch. I think he's got goals and assists in him. Just get him in your team.
I like the fact you've switched to sort of a Dalek style voice now. On that, have you changed your phone just during the last couple of minutes?
I've changed my position slightly.
Right. Okay. What position are you in now?
I'm now in a lying down sort of position.
Have you got a thermometer up your arse?
Mills, swear words.
Rude
Swear?
word.
Is that swear?
Apologies to the listeners there. No, there's not now. Not currently, no.
Okay, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm a little abrupt tonight. This is Mills on, half a bottle of wine. So it's the downside of doing a Sunday night podcast.
Mills on 3/4 is normally naked and arrested, so I've been told. So I'm glad you've reined it in for to get this podcast done first.
Certainly, that comes later. Okay, so Quigliano, I like that. I'm not so sure it's a long shot, but I can see why you're going with a long shot. Obviously, coming off the back of a layoff. So I do understand as well that Sanchez was given a bit of a 2-week break. He was actually fit a couple of weeks ago, but Wenger wanted to make sure he was completely ready, completely rested. To have an impact in this final third of the season. So I do really like that, Quigliano. And like you say, price has already gone up. So it's only going to increase from here on in, I should think. So let's look for the Delia of the week.
So the Delia, quite an interesting one. A new transfer. So maybe you might see whether you could guess this one, actually. So a newly transferred player. Any early shout-outs?
Charlie Austin or who've... JP?
Oh, I'm struggling.
He has signed for a team whose nickname is a type of bird, I believe.
The
Yes.
Oh, Adebayor.
Yes.
Adebayor.
The Magpies.
Eagles.
Sorry, I've got the...
I'm actually on about the Magpies.
Berino.
No.
He hasn't signed yet, has he? They've lodged a bid, apparently.
I'm glad we've done this because it's worked out terribly. I'm going for Andros Townsend.
Oh, right, okay. I was thinking strikers, sorry.
He's a player who, well, I mean, everyone's forgotten about him. Can you remember not too long ago him bursting into the England team, scoring some great, couple of good goals, a regular in that Spurs team. He's gone to Newcastle. I'm just giving him a little preemptive shout-out to say, you've had the deal, yeah, from Quigliano, so feel privileged. Where are you? Let's be having you. Now you're in a team that supposedly you should be playing in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did look great, and I think he kind of fell out of favour with Pochettino at Spurs, didn't he? Which is a shame. Like you say, I think he could be one to watch. But while we've kind of brought up those other players as well, just kind of thoughts on Adebayor first of all, and then we'll talk about Mourinho in a second. I mean,
JP, come on.
Yes.
Not said much.
Yeah, he's a player that's got a lot of quality.
He's gone under the duvet.
No, I'm okay. I'm still here. I'm still alive. He's got a lot of quality about him, Adebayor. I think he's a sort of player that, on his day, can bag a hat-trick. Is he a consistent performer week in, week out? No, I don't think so. So in terms of fantasy football, I don't think he's a great option, personally.
So you certainly won't be racing to put him in against Bournemouth this week?
Absolutely not, no. I mean, if they're playing Bournemouth, I'd go Benicophobe by far of the two. So, no, I would recommend people...
He's not grasped that bit there, has he? Because Afobe plays with Bournemouth. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean, sorry. I wouldn't put Adebayor in.
I understand, JP. I'm just being...
He's high on Calpol, leave him alone.
Yes, I am, yeah. Don't put Adebayor in your team.
Okay.
Has anyone got a price for me on Adebayor?
No, we haven't.
5.8. Come on, guys. You've got to be looking at this.
Okay, I mean, again, if anyone wants to see, think about how much preparation goes into this show, I think it's clearly been shown today.
5.8. Where have they pulled that?
I know it's just ludicrous, isn't it? Well,
I suppose he might have been registered for another club, and that's where he stayed at. But moving on to side tips, is it, Mills?
Yeah. Just before we do, I just want to very quickly ask you your opinion on. You've already mentioned Newcastle, and I know Quigliano, quite often you say that you think Newcastle are kind of on the up. Certainly in recent weeks, you've kind of said that. This news today coming in that they've put a bid in of 21 million for Berahino. If he does go, is he a potential pick? Because he has been in the past. Obviously, he's not had the game time this season for one reason or another at West Brom. Would that be something that would be interesting at Newcastle?
It's one of those watch this space. I mean, for me, that would be too much of a gamble at this stage. He's definitely an option. I mean, he can score goals. He's capable. He's also 5.8 million. Newcastle have got a lot of attacking options up front, so I still think he'll face a bit of rotation there. But if they pay 21 million, as the rumoured to be, he'd probably have to start, I guess. I'd prefer Wijnaldum in midfield. I think you'd get more of an attacking threat from him.
Okay, so wise words from Quigliano. We are going to bring the side tips straight after this little break.
You are listening to Mills and Quigliano on the FantasyFootballTips.co podcast. Sponsored by Premier Punt. All your fantasy Premier League tips in one juicy little podcast. Get in touch at www.fantasyfootballtips.co.
Okay, Quigliano, so we're back. Let's go for the side tips.
Right then, so we'll go thick and fast, get these done out of the way. People have probably want to go to bed tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we do have day jobs as well, so we need to get up in the morning.
So this one, probably a leap of faith, but as JP's dropped him, I'd like to rub a bit of salt in the wound. It is Ighalo. They do travel, they're at home, to Chelsea, but again, if you're looking to build a team, maybe you want Aguero and you want Sanchez, Ighalo, that type of third striker will allow you the funds for that. So I'm tipping Ighalo. Another player to help with that is Dele Alli. Everyone is jumping on him. He's sort of the Mahrez-style character at the minute where everyone's transferring him in. His price is rising. Get him in your team. Target at Southampton seems to be holding his place. They've got a difficult fixture against Arsenal, but at that price, he has to be a side tip. Rumblings of a potential double game week for Newcastle in game week 25. So maybe in preparation, you start getting a couple of Newcastle players in there, aka Wijnaldum or Elliott in goal for a double goalkeeper option. Very cheap.
Yeah, I like that.
We've also got Firmino. Again, everyone is jumping on him. They've got Leicester. I think that's a good fixture for Liverpool. I fancy it. Martial looked good against Derby, setting up two goals. So I'm tipping him. West Ham have good fixtures against Villa, so Payet has to be nailed on. I'm going for a cheap defender at Gabriel at Arsenal. If you're brave enough, that would be a short-term fix while Mertesaker's out. And then
he's
final
not out.
one.
He's served a suspension, Quigliano.
He's served. I did hear a 3-game ban.
It was a 1-game ban.
I'll still go Gabriel then. I'll stick my neck on the line. Okay. And then the final one, another defender, and the ball seems to stick to him like glue. Any idea who that might be? It's PVA, mate. Patrick Van Aanholt.
Nice. I was trying to think of any kind of... I couldn't think of one.
Unrelated joke. So there you go. There's Quigliano's side tips.
Right, well, I mean, blown me out the water there. I've had about 4 of those on my list, so I'm a bit upset right now. But I'm gonna mention another player. I'm gonna mention arguably my hero this season.
Surely not.
My hero is Millsy.
Mahrez.
Close.
Okay, Igalo.
No, it's Vardy.
Okay.
That man is a hero. He's a legend. He's proven everyone wrong time and time again. Consistently. I doubted him once, and I regret doubting him. Get that man in your team. He's scoring goals this season, and he's going to continue to score goals. Okay. Liverpool conceded 4 goals.
To Norwich as well, yeah.
To Norwich. Mahrez will score twice against Liverpool. I'm feeling it.
Who, Mahrez or Vardy?
Vardy.
Remember, it is a family show. Oh, you mean the Vardy shout, sorry.
Okay. But other than that, an excellent set of side tips. I was definitely going to mention Payet. I mean, the fixtures are very kind. Yeah, I can't really add much more. They're that good.
Okay, fantastic. Again, good set of side tips. I particularly like the Firmino one. I know you say everyone's jumping on him, but he's still only got an ownership of 8.6%, which is pretty low when you compare him to someone like Mahrez, who I think only 2% of players have dropped him remarkably, despite only getting 1 assist in something like 5 or 6 games, and that's it. So yeah, I think it's a good differential pick. In terms of JP, I just want to get JP's opinion. He's so sort of, he absolutely loves Jamie Vardy. But thoughts on Mahrez? You've been a big advocate of his in the past, but are you still an advocate of him at the moment?
I am, because of his price as well. I mean, he's so cheap still. Like, can you give me his exact price, please, Mills? Just to check. But I think it's 6.5, is that right?
No, he's way more than that.
Okay.
I know he's way more than that.
So, to buy now, he's 7.1. Probably, JP, you're reading what you would get back if you sold him.
That's what I'm reading. My mistake. Okay. But still, for 7.1, I think this man has still got assists and goals in him. Granted, a difficult set of fixtures, but personally, I think I'm going to keep him for now.
I mean, the point about Liverpool is definitely an option. They do concede goals. I mean, Moreno was mentioned, but what a bad shout that was when they conceded 4 goals. But okay. I just don't believe in it. I don't believe it, JP. I think there's better options up front for you.
I respect your opinion.
Okay, and that's why Fantasy Premier League is such a exciting game, isn't it? So we're going to kind of close that part of the show, gents. I want to come in with some questions from Twitter now, and this kind of a few of these will come off the back of some of those side tips anyway. So one from Nick Strix, a long-time fan of the show. He asks at FPL_the source. He says Firmino, aberration or just getting started?
Plays in the Brazilian national team. There's no doubt he's a decent player. I think he's playing up front for Liverpool, who are an attacking team. I think he's a serious option. That's all I'm saying.
I completely agree. I think he's very, very dangerous. I would recommend anyone put him in the team, really. He's getting better and better for me. Week in, week out, he's really found his feet at that club. and I think that he'll become a player that Klopp will actually build the team around potentially this season.
Okay, and one here from Derek 5943. I think he asked a question last week. He's really getting his money's worth, isn't he?
5943.
At Derek 5943.
Whether 5942 was already taken, and that's why he had to go for that one. But
must have been. He says, "Hey guys, top defensive pick under 6 million for the weeks ahead. Is there anyone better than a West Ham defender?" They've got Aston Villa, Southampton, Norwich, and Sunderland as their next 4 fixtures. So basically, is there anyone for 6 million or less who's a better pick than a West Ham defender based on those fixtures?
I think, well, potentially you could, if this double game week rumour is true and that it's going to be on game week 25, Man City could definitely be an option. I mean, Sanya is 5.8, could be an option for you there. If he's having a double game week. JP?
I'm gonna go out there and say Arsenal. Bellerin, I love him. I think he's absolutely brilliant. We've got Southampton at home. Granted, they lost actually quite heavily last time they played Southampton, but I don't think that will happen at home.
I mean, he's 6.1, so you're sort of not sticking to the criteria, but...
Do you know what? I apologise. I thought he was bang on 6. I apologise. That must have gone up recently. I thought he was bang on 6.
JP's certainly not on top of his values of players today. We're going to move on because we've got quite a few to get through today. Blue Paddle Pops, again on Twitter. And quickly on it, this is especially for you because the hashtag was only the God Complex can save me now. So this is for you.
What a legend.
I mean, absolutely.
Just say what a legend this is.
I've
always said as well, actually, that Blue Paddle Pops is a very astute judge of character. So
you have said that to me in the gym, certainly.
I've said it to numerous people, actually. So
okay, I'm going to paraphrase this one. See if you can figure out the word that I've replaced. Who can save my poo house season? I'm out for the count. 110 points behind in my mini league. Official ranking 1 million. So one player that can save his poo house season.
Well, I mean, it can't be Aguero on the basis that everyone else in his mini league has already got Aguero. I'm banking on that. I mean, I'd be looking for pedigree, and potentially any rival in his league will have Ozil. So possibly going Sanchez and banking on some explosive goals. Definitely look at that as an option. I mean, there's the forgotten man, David Silva. Now KDB's out. Could he potentially get more points, a bit more game time?
Absolutely.
Definitely an option. I mean, here's crazy talk. Now, this is crazy talk. Sort of referencing the God complex again, going back to the Garden of Eden Hazard. There's an old school player, somebody that if he does start firing, which he needs to probably if he wants to get a transfer.
Scored today in the FA Cup, first goal in 20 odd games.
I mean,
it was a penalty.
Yeah. But that could be all he needs to explode. I mean, he's somebody I'll be watching closely every single game week because if he looks to me like he's going to perform, I will get him in there because I think that's the way you could race back some points on some rivals.
Okay, thank you, Quigliano, for that. And
I hope that's helped, Blue Paddle Pops, and just keep up the good work on Twitter. I really enjoy that.
Okay, and we're not going to judge this guy. This is going to be the last question. We're not going to judge him by his Twitter handle, which is Spurs EPL Champs 2018. I mean, he's looking quite far ahead there. He's not even looking to next season. He's looking the season ahead. He's saying which two, and he's very specific. Only pick 2. No hedging your bets. Which 2 forwards should be picked with Aguero? And by the way, Spurs EPL Champs 2018 was the guy that criticised us for putting too many side tips out there before. So please only pick 2, otherwise we'll get very upset.
I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to say Harry Kane and Vardy.
Okay, Quigliano, do you disagree? Agree?
50% agree. I think Kane is an option.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. I would like to hedge my bets on this one because I think there's a few options. But maybe as the running nears the championship sort of phase, you possibly Giroud could be an option because Arsenal have to go start winning games now, and they're going to be relying on players like that to put in the end product. So that would be the tip there.
Okay, and a bit of differential there as well. For me personally, it would be Igalo and Kane. purely based on the fixtures that are coming up. I know JP said that Watford have got 2 tough fixtures coming up, but after that the fixtures get a little bit easier. And to be honest, Ighalo, he's proved it all season. He's scored against the big teams as well. So for me, it's Aguero, Ighalo and Kane. Gents, it's been a funny old Sunday night. It certainly upset my routine. I don't know about you guys, but we have got a little bit more to come in the podcast extra, where we will be discussing our captain picks for this week, where we'll reveal our own personal captain picks. But any final words to the cheapies out there who haven't yet registered and become a premium member on fantasyfootballtips.co?
Well, I want to hear from this guy that's been slagging off the side tips. First things first. Let's find out how big he is before I get too aggressive. Before I get too aggressive,
size.
See how popular he is. Has he got some big?
He's got 2 followers.
I mean, so potentially, if we go at this guy, can we take him? That's what I want to know.
I think we can. Yeah.
Because I know JP has got a black belt in origami, so if things do turn south, he'll be there to back me up.
I'm also just going to read you his last tweet. Maybe this is his plan for them being champs in 2018. His last tweet, which was 1 day ago, is to Gareth Bale, and he said, "Come back to Spurs, please." That's it.
That's it.
I think that's the best way to get him back.
It's ambitious.
I wouldn't be surprised if you hear a transfer request from Bale tomorrow.
Just based on that, yeah.
Just based on that alone, I'd be like, he's right.
He's a very angry person. He's also one before that. Rio was always overrated. English soccer fans are blind. So I'm guessing he's not from England.
Ooh, not sure if I like that.
Adebayor is garbage.
Possibly he was talking about Brazil there, just maybe potentially.
Okay, so well, there we go. So, gents, it's been a pleasure. I've tried not to drink too much wine during the show, so podcast extra can go ahead. When are we doing a podcast next? I mean, our schedule is so out of sync. People are struggling to keep up.
Hopefully never.
Okay. So, JP, how are you hanging on there? How's that thermometer?
It's okay. No, I'm getting through it. It's important. It's vital that we do this. So illness means nothing.
Good work. And on that is the end of the podcast standard show. Please, if you've never heard the podcast extra, it's a hoot. It's more of the same. 90% drivel, 5% tips, and 5% of Quigliano sniffing.
I would say you're pushing it a bit too hard now, mate. I mean, just give it a little bit of a rest. You're sounding very needy.
You do sound needy.
Certainly not. So anyway, we'll be back.
JP and Quigliano turning on Mills here.
This is very unusual.
Tune in for podcast.
Don't push it too hard. We will be back later this week ahead of game week 25, hopefully with news on that potential double game week. Don't think it's going to happen personally, but we'll find out. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Quigliano.